This week, we have a very special episode in honor of SCaLE this week.
Oh, yeah.
Southern California Linux Expo, where Jill will be there. We have actually secret footage that we've been hiding from you purposefully for a special occasion. Secret footage. We have a second Maddog interview.
We found it in the
actually done by Jill and the Linux Chicks. And so this interview with Maddog, John Maddog Hall, is a legend. And if you haven't seen the first interview, definitely want to see that one. But now you're going to get a second interview with John Maddog Hall, which was filmed at SCaLE last year. So very, very special and very awesome interview. You're not going to want to miss it. Welcome to Destination Linux, where we discuss the latest news, hot topics, gaming, mobile, and all things open source and Linux. My name is Ryan, and with me are my partners in using tech to avoid socializing.
That's right.
Not me. I'm going to the Southern California Linux Expo SCaLE 22X starting tomorrow through Sunday.
Now, Jill, are you a social bug when you go to SCaLE?
Yes.
Wow.
And also, Ryan, we're going to Red Hat Summit. So yes. I guess this is still like the statement of we're using tech to not socialize. I think that is true, except for once a year.
Once a year, we get out there into the scary
It just
open
happens
world.
to be very soon.
Yes. Jill, I know you're super excited about going to SCaLE this year. We're going to miss being able to hang out with you this year. Maybe we'll be back next year.
Miss you.
But I know people are going to have an absolute blast seeing you there and meeting you. So if you're going to Southern California Linux Expo, Jill, there's a booth, the Linux Chicks booth that they need to head to, right? And they can see you there.
Yeah, LinuxChixLA. You can come spin our wheel o swag, as we call it, and win a penguin surprise. Or we have lots of really good raffles, like computer equipment and whatnot that I have been working on for the last few weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jill always has some of the best swag at SCaLE to give away. A lot of it is stuff from her museum. It's older computers and things that people would like to have in their collection.
Yeah.
And so you definitely want to stop by her booth. It's awesome. But that's not all we have on this show. We also have our tips, picks, and community feedback. Let's get this show on the road toward Destination Linux. All right, so before we send Jill off to SCaLE, we got a few things we got to handle, Jill. We got community feedback. And this week, we got some community feedback from Sebastian. They have this to say regarding episode 407, where we discussed Equinix ending donations to many open source projects and the need to find a solution where we can get funds to smaller projects. Sebastian had this to say: what you're describing around 1 hour, 2 minutes into the podcast, or actually was.
First of all, real quick, thank you for giving us a timestamp. That's great.
Man.
Yeah. Giving us the episode number, that's plenty. But also giving us a timestamp, thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Very nice. Actually was Flatter, Flattr. Don't know if you know about, so here you go, and put a link to Wikipedia, which was my first clue, like why not link to the actual service itself, that something was amiss. Said
There's
I used it
afoot.
There you go, afoot. What does that even mean? Has anybody looked up the origins of afoot?
I have never heard of that in terms of like the actual etymology, but it reminds me of like something from like some detective novel in the 1920s or something.
Oh yeah, I've heard the term
Arthur
before.
Conan Doyle.
What was that, Jill?
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Is that the person who originated it, or what?
Yeah.
The writer.
Yeah.
Author. In
Something
stuff.
is afoot. But what does that mean? You know?
Oh,
I mean, we understand what it means, but why is the real question. Yeah, why? I don't know. Like it's because you're putting your best foot forward, or you're putting your foot down, or you're stepping up to the plate.
Wow, there is a lot of foot analogy.
There's a lot of them. I was just thinking of like how many there were, and they just kept coming to me.
Patron GPT to look up for us what the heck is a foot origins come from. It's very important for
and also go let us know what a foot is.
Yeah. Well, At the Southern California Linux Expo, our party we do with the LinuxChixLA on Sunday, we call it the Dead Dog Party because your feet are tired.
Oh yeah.
So
Dead
that's
dogs,
a saying.
And your feet. And also, while you're looking up what's with the a foot thing, also find out why GNOME chose a foot as their logo.
Yeah, it's
a gnome.
Footprint, it's a GNOME foot. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think so.
Yeah, the original was a GNOME foot.
It's got to be.
Maybe.
All right, back to Sebastian.
A GNOME foot.
They said I used it back in the day to donate a set amount of euro each month. That's that monopoly money we keep hearing about, which then got split.
We use freedom units
to the respective projects there. Never used a browser plugin with Flatter, by the way. Just read on Wikipedia that was apparently a thing. My experience was that I went to the Flatter website, flattered the projects. I want to receive a cut of my donation, and that was it. Cheers, and keep up the excellent show. So very interesting. So Sebastian has found this service that existed called Flatter, and Flatter was out there to do micro donations to a bunch of services. And this is in relation, of course, to the episode where we talked about there's so many open source projects out there that don't get funding. How do we do it? Somebody solved it, but then it went away. So that kind of stinks. But it is very cool to know that something like this existed, and perhaps it was just before its time. Jill and Michael, you guys were all around Linux during this time. Do you remember it?
I remember the name, but I had never used it. But I knew it was there.
I remember some projects using it. I remember I never sent anything through it, but it's also because it's another place to sign up. And if they already have a service you already used, or if they accept PayPal or something, there's there's barriers to entry and that sort of thing. So the concept is really cool, but it also requires a lot of buy-in from the community. And I feel like it's so complex to be able to set this up and let it function for every project. And you want one place. And if you have one place that only covers 20% of the projects that you want to donate to, it doesn't really solve that one place thing. So maybe that's why it didn't survive. I don't know. But it's the same kind of thing with the send me a coffee or buy me a coffee or whatever.
Bundle. They do that too.
There's so many different approaches to it. And that's cool because we have the options. And at the same time, there's too many options so that people don't know which one to use.
So I think it would be easier to implement something like this today with all of the pay with your phone options, single sign-on options, those types of things. And
that's true.
Our podcast wasn't there for this thing, so there was no way to get the word out. But now we're here. So I feel like somebody could revive this service and actually make it start to cover a lot of these things. It's a really cool idea. Did they open source Flatter, I wonder, out there?
Don't think so. I haven't heard of that being open sourced. But it's also, to be fair, I haven't heard about it in a long time. So
yeah. They also, by the way, our patron GPT came back and said the game's afoot equals the chase is on or the game has begun. So that is what that means.
Okay.
But where did it? Why still afoot? I still want to know why.
Listen, our GPT hallucinates just like Chat GPT. But afoot means on foot or walking. It's a foot, like all one word. It's not like a foot. The chase is a separate foot. It's a foot.
Right. Yeah. But okay. So it's okay. It's using terminology that is kind of dated and no one uses anymore. So all I have to say to that is humbug.
Yes. Nice.
Sebastian also wrote PS. I don't know if they wrote this, or if it was Jill added this last second, but Ryan and Michael, you should step up your game and be nicer to Jill. I don't really know if Sebastian wrote that or if Jill added it.
I think Jill must have added that. There's no way.
Put that in there.
Jill, there's no way anyone would imagine we're not super nice to Jill.
Yeah. Are we not nice to you, Jill?
Oh, you're wonderful to me. I love you guys.
See?
See, Sebastian.
We didn't put her on the spot at all.
Oh, no. He also said
pressure,
cheers and keep up the excellent show. So you don't want to forget that, Michael and Ryan.
Oh, okay. We'll definitely keep that up.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Sebastian, for sending in this awesome email here and letting us know about the service. And I had no idea it existed. So hopefully somebody could think of something like this and revive it, because it would be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And if you'd like to send some feedback to us, you can go to destinationlinux.net/comments or destinationlinux.net/forums and let us know why you think that we should be flattered.
By the way, we had this awesome interview with the CEO of Sandfly last week, Michael.
Oh yeah, it's so fantastic. I'm going to be cutting up a bunch of like different segments for it because it needs more attention than just a single episode can give it. So we're going to do some videos and we're going to maybe put it on TikTok and whatever. It's such good stuff. And if you haven't checked it out, you go do it. So and also go check out Sandfly and destinationlinux.net/Sandfly. And speaking of Sandfly, as Linux users, we know what's up. Security is non-negotiable. But with threats getting smarter, your security tools need to keep pace without dragging your system down. Traditional agents, they just slow you down and leave blind spots. It's time for a smarter approach, and that's why Destination Linux is so proud to be sponsored by Sandfly Security, the revolutionary agentless platform designed for Linux. Sandfly doesn't just detect and respond. It does that, not just that. It revolutionizes security with SSH key tracking, password auditing, drift detection, and so much more, covering threats from every angle. Whether your systems are in the cloud, on premises, or in embedded devices, Sandfly ensures they're all secure without the headaches of agent-based solutions. Listen to what Ken Kleiner, the senior security engineer at the University of Massachusetts, has to say. He says, Sandfly is the first product I've seen that accurately and quickly detects thousands of signs of compromise on the Linux platform. Its unique method automates tasks which would be manually impossible. Automation is key with detection, and Sandfly completely fits this and other requirements. If your organization is using Linux, this should be part of your cybersecurity toolset. So experience security that's not just effective, but gives you peace of mind. No agents, no downtime, just cutting-edge protection. Dive into the future of Linux security at destinationlinux.net/Sandfly. That's destinationlinux.net/SANDFLY. And see why Sandfly can transform your security strategy. That's destinationlinux.net/Sandfly.
You can actually test out Sandfly for free. We not only on that episode, there is a special discount for our listeners out there that they can use. So you're going to want to listen to that interview to go grab that discount code and check this out. Also, if you check out the comment section, if you're wondering what is Sandfly, I don't understand how it's different from a virus scanner or the typical things, I also give a explanation down there as well, and we also cover it in the interview. So check out destinationlinux.net/Sandfly, but also check out the incredible interview with the CEO.
And you can check that out at destinationlinux.net/409.
All right, so now it's time for the super secret footage of the Maddog interview that's never been played before until right now. You're going to absolutely love this. Go to the interview. Wendy, do it. Just follow one time, Wendy. Just do it when I clap. Just switch when Michael, can you clap so she'll just go to the interview, please?
I don't think that worked.
Jill, can you clap so Wendy will go to the interview?
So I'm here with Maddog and John Maddog Hall. You came last year to the LinuxChixLA booth to tell us how you helped the LinuxChixLA in our early years. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to hear that marvelous story that you told. But before we do that, I want to introduce you to, this is Sharon Lake, and this is Betty Chung, and I'm, of course, Jill Bryant, and we are the co-coordinators of Linux Chicks of Los Angeles, one of the last chapters still running.
Well, we have to see if we can get more chapters up and running.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will start, and in 1995, I became the executive director of Linux International, which was a small group of computer companies, Linux Journal, a fledgling Red Hat when it only had like 4 people in the company, and so forth and so on. And we were put together because we believed that Linux and free software had a commercial value, not just a hobbyist value or something like that. So we started to try and put together some things like certifications and standards and stuff around the Linux ecosystem. And before we got too far, all of a sudden, we had this note from one of our members that they received this letter from this person in Boston who had trademarked the term Linux and was asking all of these companies that used Linux in their name to pay him 25% of their revenues to use the term Linux, which anybody in business knows this would never work. You can't get 25% of your revenues to. So we hired a lawyer, a man named Jerry Davis of Davis and Schroeder, and Jerry was a very high-powered lawyer in IP. He did this pro bono. Well, pro bono means that Jerry contributed his time, but his clerk's time and all that type of stuff added up. But we finally wrested away the trademark from this person in Boston and gave it to Linus. And so Linus became the owner of the trademark. And we then formed a group called Linux, I'm going to blank now. This is embarrassing. But we basically, to protect the Linux trademark, Linux Mark Institute, there we go, LMI, Linux Mark Institute, to protect the Linux trademark and license it out for free to anybody that wanted to use it. So things were going along, and all of a sudden I received this call from this person who had started an organization called LinuxChix, and it was LinuxChix.org. And this person was very upset because they had found out that somebody had registered the URL of LinuxChix.com, and they were making a pornography site out of it in the hopes that people would miss the LinuxChix.org part, get LinuxChix.com and see this pornography and stuff. And they were, of course, naturally upset by this whole thing. And I said, don't worry, Deb. I says, I'm going to handle this. So I called up the lawyer, and he said, well, we can't do anything because we don't really have any standing. The only person who has standing is Linus, the owner of the trademark. So you'll have to get Linus to say, do something about this. So I called up Linus and explained the situation. He goes, well, I really have nothing against pornography sites. But Tuve, my wife, does, and therefore the site has to go. So I called up Jerry again. I says, Jerry, this is what Linus said. And Jerry says, okay, I'll take care of it. And he copied me on this letter, and I'd love to look through my records to see if I still have it, and I probably still do. If I find it, I'll let you know. And this letter said, in essence, hi, if you don't take this site down immediately, I'm going to sue you into the next lifetime. And the next day, the site was gone. So Jerry was a very effective lawyer, and that was my thing about that. But, I've always supported LinuxChix. I mean, to me, it's just inconceivable that anybody would want to throw away 50% of our brain power, maybe 60% or 70%, I'm not really sure, but throw away any of the brain power that we need to move free software forwards. I come from a time when I was teaching 1977 to 1980, about 40% of my students were women. And a lot of them, this was a time when people did not have computers in the home. Right. They never even saw a computer until they got into my classroom. And, they did absolutely great in doing their coding and stuff. And in fact, a lot of times much better than the guys did because they took it very seriously. And then when I went to Bell Labs, we still had a lot of women programmers and middle management and stuff, but not 40%. Right. And then I left there, went to DEC. And at DEC, if you were male, you would have a job as a software engineer. If you were female, you went into documentation. Right? Yeah. And there were the docos with a couple of men in there. And then there were the devos with a couple of women in there. And, in product management, there was a lot of women and stuff. But then over the years, the women just seemed to disappear. And this would disturb me. And I think that part of this, and this is my own supposition on this, it's my own theory, that at a certain time, as personal computers started to come into the family, into the home, mothers and fathers would say, oh, it's Christmas time. We're going to give a computer game. We're going to give a computer to the son, and we're going to give a Barbie doll.
Right.
Pardon the Mattel thing. We're going to give a doll, but we're going to give a kitchen set or something to the girl. And so it was the parents kind of, and the STEM part of it was kind of looked as geeky and unfeminine and stuff. So hopefully we're correcting that now. And we're going to see more and more women, from an early age, come in and learn STEM and learn computing and stuff like that. So,
well, one of the things that sometimes stop women from contributing to open source, where the most opportunities are, is when men come home, a married couple come home, they have what they have is free time, while the woman is doing laundry and cooking. And that still is the division of home labor, still is one of those things that can hold back female gendered people from actually contributing.
Well, you see, that's one problem. One thing I have as a gay man. Okay, I'm married, and I do the laundry and wash the dishes, and he does the cooking, and and that's our division of labor. And
LinuxChixLA started. There was a T-shirt on Think Geek that had LinuxChix on it, and a woman named Rose, who was a PhD student in computer science, saw it. She says, "This is great," and then she went to the LinuxChix site that Deb and Downey and all those have started. She says, "I'm going to start one here." So she posted this somewhere. I think it was, I don't even remember where, some mailing list or something. And then Betty and I and a few other people got together and says, "Yeah, we're LinuxChixLA." And then we went to SCaLE. We were one of the first participants of SCaLE. So we have been here every single year of SCaLE for the whole 21 years. And Jill joined us, I guess, at the 5th SCaLE.
So one of the things that I'm planning on doing, and hopefully in the next couple months, is to restart Linux International. So Linux International started at trying to take this hobbyist, techno-geeky thing and saying it has a business application, okay? So we did things like certification. We did things like standards. We started the Linux Standard Base Project. We, all this stuff. Linux Mark Institute to help protect the Linux trademark. So we did all this stuff for business. But now the Linux Foundation is doing a lot of that stuff, and that's good, that's fine. But I think we've moved too far away from the community.
Right. Yeah, the dearth of user groups are it's very telling and sad in a way that really was the community. Yeah.
I'm in the process right now. So I helped to start the Greater New Hampshire Linux Users Group back in 1995, and I ran it for 10 years. I had a method of running this that made it relatively easy. And then I started traveling so much, so I couldn't do that. Other people took it over, and it kind of faded out and stuff. So part of the new start of Linux International is to restart this user group thing and say, create the cookbook of how do you do a user group. Make it as easy as possible to start a user group, to find a user group, to participate in a user group, and to show people why the user group is useful.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there's still some hesitancy for people wanting to install Linux. Some of our most successful workshops were Linux Install Fest, when they had kind of stopped several years prior, and that was very popular, as was the Raspberry Pi Install Fest. It was all people don't want to touch it, holding hands with someone and letting them go. Wonderful.
So every year, Software Freedom Day concentrates on things like that, right? It's a one day everybody comes in, they do installation fests and stuff like that. That was actually started by a friend of mine, and Matt Quinn, I think. No, it doesn't sound right. I'll think of his name eventually, but this is embarrassing. I can't think of it. But he One day he showed up outside of a Walmart store with a table and some balloons and some CDs that were contributed by Ubuntu and stuff, and flyers, and this kept building and building and building, and then it was this thing all over the world now that on one day, or actually one day in a month, they have Software Freedom Day. So I just, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I'll just point at that.
Yeah.
Look, why don't you join this Software Freedom Day thing? Why don't you join LinuxChix, okay? And, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. No, I don't know this. I'm too lazy to do that. I just want to bring about all these successful things. Linux clubs, the thing that got started in the Midwest, and that LPI has said, hey, we like this concept and everything. How do you start a Linux club?
Yep.
The Ohio Linux Fest, I helped that along a little bit.
Yeah.
They're going very strong.
Well, but the thing is that right now in Columbus, Ohio, Huntington Bank has a recycling program for laptops and stuff like that. But they only put Windows on there. And I say, well, why don't you put Linux on there? You have this whole group of people who could come and help you install Linux on these laptops. Why don't you put Linux on there? So, this type of thing to give people a chance to go out and do things on their own, right? I mean, that's the whole Linux creed. I mean,
it's just those first beginning steps that people kind of go, oh, I don't know what that is.
I might fail. Yeah. So what?
Yeah.
You're the only person who can you're going to fail, right? Try it. Put it on a USB stick, stick it in your computer, see if it runs. Okay.
I had the opportunity to meet with Linus Torvalds at the Open Source Summit in 2017 and spend about 20 minutes with him after and telling him about our mission with the LinuxChix and that we have hands-on Install Fest. And he was just thrilled. He's like, it's so good to see the LinuxChix, still continuing that because so many other groups have gone virtual and they're not doing, in-person meetups.
Well, in restarting the Greater New Hampshire Linux group, I mean, we've had a mailing list that's been going on. People ask technical questions and stuff. But in starting it, I wanted it to be a hybrid group, that you have real live people meet in a particular place at a particular time every month, but you also record the meetings and stuff so that you can put it up on the web and people can see it afterwards, right? And that helps to attract more people because they see this and say, hey, I'd like to really go to the one that's real live and to see people and stuff.
I'm going to hope that I can get you to autograph this. This is the book that got me into Linux. My first programming language I was taking was Visual Basic. And I just started kind of hearing about Linux, wanting Linux. So I bought this book and I got really confused. So I went to an install fest at the local lug in LA was running and they installed this for me. But this is what got me into Linux. I'm hoping I can get you to autograph this because I've kept this book forever.
Sure. So this brings about a short little story about Linus. When Linus first started giving autographs, you could actually read his name, Linus Torvalds. And lately it's just L line. Okay. So I'm not going to do L line. I'm not going to do, M line. Okay. But I will use his trademark thing of happy Linuxing.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Autograph for me.
Oh, thank you. And I heard that you needed some of our stickers.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Come by to spin the wheel of swag so that you can get some free penguin goodies.
Okay. So I had this older laptop that I named Smog because, like the fire-breathing dragon of Tolkien, you start this thing up and it just used it was a 135 watt laptop, okay, and it just the fan would start up, just blow this hot air out the side, as smog. And I covered smog's lid with different stickers. But I want you to know, when the corner of each side, there was a LinuxChix sticker. Different one. So I will take these. I've been collecting, things. I'm going to collect a bunch of them, and then I'll take them home and lay them all out. Because I don't like putting one sticker over top of the other. Yeah. I like having them neat and stuff. Everybody can be seen. And but I will make sure that there is a proudly displayed LinuxChix sticker on the new notebook,
wonderful,
which is not called Smog; it's called Travoy.
We got a ThinkPad 510 on as part of our raffle for tomorrow, and that's 135 watt.
Well, mine is the W510.
Oh, that's it. It's a W510.
That's exactly the one I have.
Yeah, it's going to be raffled for tomorrow.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and I will stop by the booth and do the spin.
So normally Jill handles all the gaming section, but this week I need to handle it, Jill, because I'm in love with this game.
Yeah.
I absolutely, because it's very rare recently that I've fallen in love with the game. And this one has absolutely got me playing any free moment that I actually have the game, which is about 15 minutes a week. But still, the point is you could play this game just 15 minutes a week and have fun with it because it's quick to get in and have fun. And that game is Marvel Rivals out there. So, we don't just get to play the lesser known titles on Linux. This is a AAA game. It's taken the gaming industry by storm. Like, people are playing it from everywhere, all over. Every streamer is playing Marvel Rivals.
It seems to be pretty popular. Yeah.
Very, very popular.
A little pop. It's
a lot. But
also, they are treating Linux with really high respect.
Yeah. That's what's so
awesome.
Cool.
It plays really well on Linux. In fact, Michael was a little late today. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to be about 20 minutes late. No problem. I just turned on Marvel Rivals, played a quick game. By the time he was back, we were ready to go. So, and I mean,
no problem, except for he gave me a little bit of a hard time for being late.
Let's not bring up all of that. I mean, of course, I'm going to give you a hard time about it. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, of course.
But the point is, I enjoyed a quick, nice game and then acted really grumpy towards you once you joined.
So, in fact, I gave you an opportunity to test the game out,
Yeah.
So what is Marvel Rivals? Well, it is a superhero-based team PvP shooter. Really, though, I can describe it even better. If you took Overwatch, and I mean literally like every aspect of Overwatch, including a lot of the sets that look very similar to Overwatch.
Oh, really?
And including a lot of the powers of the Overwatch characters, but you put Marvel superheroes there instead and upped the graphics and made it a lot more fun interactivity and a lot more competitive. And one of the things they do amazing is all the review footage. You can watch highlights, whether you were MVP or not. You can watch your best highlights. You can go and watch the top tier players play. Every one of their games is logged and listed there for people to go through and watch other people play. They made this whole community around this thing. So they took Overwatch. They're heavily inspired by Overwatch, a lot, and then made it really cool.
That's awesome. But also real quick, I think there's an argument to be made that as far as the mechanisms and the sets, I mean, the sets, depending on how it's set up, maybe, that's either or, but the powers that you get, I think it's more fair to say that Marvel came up with those powers since they've had decades of pre-existing IP, and then Overwatch took those and put them in their game.
Kind
yeah,
of.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair, but if you took Hanzo from Overwatch and you put a Hawkeye skin over him and you had the same exact powers of Overwatch, I mean, the button presses and everything are almost exactly the same. It's nearly like they just copied Overwatch and then made it cooler. But I'm okay with it. They were definitely inspired by it, but I'm okay with it because Overwatch died. It's just a dead franchise, and it was a good one.
So you're saying it's Overwatch?
It's Overwatch. It's over. You watch. It's over for non-digital watches too. But it describes itself like this: assemble an all-star Marvel squad Devise countless strategies by combining powers to form unique team-up skills and fight indestructible, ever-changing battlefields. That's the other thing they added. So now the environments, like if you have walls and stuff, a lot of the environments are destructible, which is really cool. You can be like hitting somebody, who's upstairs, and the whole thing collapses down, and then you can attack them there. It's like really wild.
The question is there a Hulk where you can run through the walls?
Of course there's a Hulk. Yes, you can smash through walls. And there's a thing too who can also smash through walls.
Nice.
And then there's Venom and all the other cool characters. You can play it for free. You don't even have to spend a dime on it. And you can download it from Steam. It's rated gold by ProtonDB, so it plays really well with our Linux Penguin.
You had me at free.
Yeah.
Yep. And so highly recommend you check out the game. When I was watching videos of it, interestingly enough, I was like, I'm too old to be able to play this fast-paced game. Like there was so much going on. I'm like, there's no way this is for kids that I can figure out how to play all this. It's just these games are getting so quick and fast-paced. But I was able to keep up, Michael. I've gotten MVP like 4 times already. So,
How many times did you play?
Just shut. We don't need. That's not important that there's 150 games and I've only been MVP 4 times. But the point is,
I was just asking. Like how much?
I don't know how many times I've played. Probably 24 maybe 20 games, 24
That's
games.
Not bad, especially if you just got started. That's not bad to have MVP that much. I mean, but also you're beginner. They're beginners.
Exactly.
Anyway,
they're not putting me against the top ranked players. They have
should,
a very good.
Then it's guaranteed destruction. I love the fact that when good matchmaking is when the beginners are playing beginners, and I hate the smurfing problems that are in so many games. So that's good to hear. But also, there's some stuff that a lot of people aren't aware of. This game is cool. I want to play it now. I mean, I heard about it and I wanted to give it. I never had time to play it. So next time when Ryan's late, I'll be sure to play this game. But there's a really cool thing that you might not have heard about with the Marvel Rivals is that they were doing like a ban wave in the early stage of the game, and they accidentally banned a bunch of Linux players. And they didn't want to do that. It wasn't like the nonsense Apex Legends problem where they just blamed Linux for everything. So they immediately apologized and unbanned anyone who was a Linux player, but not actually doing anything wrong. And then they made it like a public apology about it. And then also just the latest patch notes they did, maybe I don't know if it's not the latest, but a very recent patch notes they released. It was it had like a bunch of different cool improvements and bug fixes and all that stuff you would expect. But what you might not expect is that not only did they have stuff fixed for Linux users, they had stuff fixed for a specific distro that is Bazite or Bazite. I don't know how you're supposed to say it, but that means that not only are they making sure that the Proton support is working, that it's SteamOS compatible, it's Linux compatible in general. They're making fixes for specific distributions, and this is for people who are using that distro with high definition or high quality hardware. So they wanted to make sure that everything is settled and working well. That is a fantastic sign.
Yeah, no, it really is. And by the way, Apex Legends, if you want to look at like what's happened to them since their stupidity on Linux and everything else, they've gone from a peak of 430,000 players down to 164,000 players. So good job, Apex, by knocking out all of your potential Linux players there. Where Marvel Rivals is currently running at a peak of 642,000 players, and they're supporting Linux. I'm not saying the two are correlated, because there's not a huge base of Linux users. What I'm saying is one is very involved with their community and does the right thing. The other one didn't. And I think that goes into everything a business does, including how they treat the smaller guys, us Linux folk. Yep. So there you go.
Exactly. And if in like Apex Legends, they decided to blame the Linux users as if we're the problem and say like, oh, our cheating is down. Well, your entire player base is down. So how is that helping?
There you go. Enjoy.
Whereas Marvel Rivals said, hey, we've got lots of users on the Steam Deck and on lots of Linux machines, so let's give them love.
Yeah. The graphics are beautiful, and you really do feel like you're playing the Hulk or you're playing, your favorite character in there. Mm-hmm. And I don't like the Fantastic Four. In fact, Every time there's a Fantastic Four movie, I'm like, oh God, I gotta see this stupid stretchy guy again.
First of all, as the comic book fan of the show, I have to clarify something to you. If your reference point is the Fantastic Four, is the movies, then yes, they're terrible. All of the Fantastic Four movies have been awful. The first one was like, hey, it's better than nothing, but now we would rather have nothing. Because it was just.
There's a new one coming that could, revitalize the whole thing. Who knows?
Well, that's different because Marvel is actually in control of the Fantastic Four now. Well, previously it was made by Fox or Sony or some other person who doesn't know what they're doing, and they made terrible. I'm pretty sure it was Fox, and they made terrible movies. And it was just, you're right, that those were bad. The characters of the Fantastic Four in the Marvel comics are very cool. And the vast majority of the time, Mr. Fantastic doesn't do that much stretching. He's usually like a character to do like science stuff and has nothing to do with the stretching.
That's what they have to stick with, because if I see dude stretch to take out an enemy and massive fist punch, all this stuff,
it's okay.
It takes me out of, I know it's all fake, but it takes me out of the reality.
Stretching is cool, man. Stretching can be cool depending on how you do it. If you stretch before you do workouts, that's probably a good thing. If you stretch after workouts, it might be good too. I don't know. But there.
Yeah.
But it's just the dumbest ability. No kid in the audience is going, if you watch Wolverine, you're like, man, I want some claws. You even see kids go by the claws and stuff. But no kid in the audience is like, man, I wish I really had stretchy arms to go grab that thing. You want the force. If you want to grab something from a distance or something cool. Nobody wants stretchy limbs. It's dumb. And then like it's just the dumbest ability. But my point to this whole thing is,
as a comic book fan, I want to argue with you, but I can't. It's not good.
My point to this whole thing is, though, like I found myself playing Fantastic Four characters, not stretchy guys, too stupid to even play in a video game. But I've played the other characters and I've really enjoyed them. Like Invisible Woman is really awesome in this, and Thing is amazing to play. Actually, a really good beginner character to play in there. And the Human Torch is amazing. Is it Human Torch? Yeah, it's Human
Torch. Yeah.
I was thinking Johnny Blaze. Is that the name? Johnny Blaze, Human Torch?
No, it's not Johnny Blaze.
No, Johnny Blaze is Ghost Rider, right? Ghost Rider.
Yeah. He's Ghost Rider.
So that's what was going on in my head.
Okay. As the comic nerd on the show, he's one of the Ghost Riders. There's
look at you, Mr. Nerd. All right.
He's also not the best one. Anyway, go ahead.
You also have flying power. So Iron Man flies, and he goes way up high. He's annoying as if you were fighting Iron Man in real life. And the Torch is the same way. Like the characters that can fly can really fly, and they're very annoying flying up there because you got to pay attention to what's going on in front and up above. They just did a marvelous game with this. Marvelous job with this game.
Marvelous Marvel game.
Yes, marvelous Marvel game.
A modern Marvel.
It's very good. Go check it out. There you go.
So let's go on to our spotlight, and that is the drum machine. So do you want to create some sick beats? Well,
wasn't that your nickname in high school?
Sick Beats?
No, yes. Drum machine.
No, it was Sick Beats. It was Sick Beats. Because I ate beats and I got sick from it. So a sick beat.
You were beaten up so much they called you the drum machine? That's what I thought.
No. Mine was better. Mine making fun of myself was better than you making fun of me.
Go on.
But anyway, if you don't want to spend money, that's even better because you don't have to get all the kits. You don't have to get some proprietary software. You can use Drum Machine. And it's not the most clever of names, but very accurate. It's a drum machine application that you can use from the Flat Hub. And Drum Machine is very cool. It lets you create drumming patterns, and you can do a bunch of customizations. So it's perfect for musicians and producers or anyone who's just interested in rhythm creation, or people who wish they had rhythm, like Ryan, for example.
Look at me.
See, Sebastian, from the feedback, we're nice to Jill, but not to each other.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
I mean, we are, but we're also adding it for the
I made
extra.
A sick beat before the show. Jill and Michael can testify that it was a sick beat.
He made a sick beat on his own audio that we did not hear. We could not hear it.
You don't know if it was good or not.
Claimed it was sick. He claimed it was sick. We couldn't debate it, so we're going to have to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that we definitely doubt him, but we'll give him the benefit of it.
It's got a lot of cool features,
Yeah.
It's grid based. You just click a bunch of buttons. That's all I did.
Kinda
I had no idea what the stuff
Launchpad
is.
style. Yeah.
Yeah. You just click a bunch of stuff and it makes sounds, and then you hit the play button, and then you can add more sounds in and you can record it, and it's really fun. Like it's
and you can also do you can control the BPMs or beats per minute for those who are not aware of the term.
Wow.
You also have volume control for the mix, and you can do multiple drum sounds, including like kick drums, snare drums, hi-hat, and more.
I don't know what those are. Can you give me a sound sample? What is a kick sound?
I can't tell you what the sound.
Just make the sound. What's a kick? Make the sound. Okay, what's a snare? What's a hi-hat?
What?
Good job, Michael.
Good job, Michael.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I found Drum Machine actually really easy to use, and I created several drum patterns with a few clicks of the mouse and a nice drum and bass beat to accompany it. And then I exported saved the file as a MIDI to use in other music making software. And
that's
made
awesome.
That process really, really easy. So you could bring it into a much bigger synthesizer or whatnot.
Yeah. So the MIDI part is probably the most important part.
Patrons asked if you could import your own samples. Don't know about that, but you can definitely take that and import it into another piece of software where you can add your own samples. This is very cool. I love this. I've always wanted to. Well, I'm a big fan of, janky. So, you got to.
Are you now inspired to make your own music?
I wanted to. I'm like, I could do a YouTube channel where do like what he does, but.
We're now going to be blessed with a new video from Ryan's channel. It's going to be called Ryan Jenkies.
Yes.
Ryan Lo-Fi.
Oh, man. Imagine the sick beats I would pump out. It would be so awesome. I put on some Crocs, wear my hat sideways, and just knock out some sick beats.
And a jersey from like some random person from a random team that no one's ever heard of. Perfect.
Yeah.
Because you got to get the throwback in there.
Best ever. All right, Jill, what's in our tip of the week?
Oh, this is something really cool.
It's so cool. You're going to do a backflip for it.
Yes, I am. I am actually. I don't have the space in this room to do it, but I used to be able to do backflips. In fact, I used to do them diving into a pool. So
I can do those. I don't trust myself for a regular backflip, but I can do those.
Yes. So do you want a specific 3D model to print from your 3D printer, but are not interested in learning CAD or a 3D modeling program like Blender to do it? Check out Backflip.ai. This tool is so easy. It allows you to generate 3D models for your 3D printing jobs by just using text to describe what you want. Wow. I wish I had this tool in the 90s. When I was doing animation in the industry. It would have made model making a lot easier. And this tool also allows you to create 3D meshes from your drawings or by snapping a photo with your phone. Pretty sweet. And like most AI models, it does require a subscription to start using it, but it is very, very reasonably priced, and even students can afford it. Especially
you lost me at money.
Yeah.
So cheap.
No, it's worth it to have a tool that can do this.
I'm just kidding.
And,
I mean, I think it's important to pay for, even if you don't have to pay for a software, it's good to donate for it and everything. So,
exactly.
Yeah. I understand if something is this cool, has a fee. Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially cool if you want to start your own business printing 3D objects. That would be a good use case for this, definitely. Yeah. Or if you need a lot of objects.
a business myself, Jill. I went and I told it, because you could start with text with this. So I started with text and said, I want a dorky comic book fan that likes podcasts and has weak thumbs. And then, I was able to just do a quick drawing of a beard and some glasses, and it gave me Michael as a model. So I'm going to sell Michael models as my next business.
I think I'm going to actually have to file for infringement, for copyright infringement.
Take all my mad profits.
Unless it's bobbleheads. Then I'll give you a pass.
A Michael bobblehead would be dope, dude. That would be so much fun. Just to hit you every time I'm annoyed.
What?
On the top of the head. Yeah.
I thought you were like, because I'd constantly say yes to everything.
I could just see it, a Michael bobblehead in Ryan's car, and every time he makes a turn, it says, "You're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way."
Because most bobbleheads do this, and Ryan's driving would be.
Oh Michael, no.
On your dashboard.
Do I turn right?
The wrong way.
Do I turn
You're going
left?
the wrong
No.
way.
I don't know where to go, which is pretty much me everywhere.
So you can check out backflip.ai at their website.
This is really
easy
cool.
to remember.
We were looking at, a lot of videos about this particular tool. And one of the things it starts out with is there's a video of a guy wanting to create a mount for a speaker or a router or something like that. And so he starts with just text of what he wants it to look like. But then it creates a mount, that has 2 screws like he described, but it's not in the shape he wants. So then he takes like a little paint program and kind of draws the shape he wants. And it takes that terrible drawing, like something I would do, and then it transforms that into the right shape of the model. And then you can go in and kind of clean up the rest. Just like AI, when you're prompting it, you can keep, going further and further. It's really intuitive. What a great use case for AI all the way around.
Absolutely.
And
very cool. Because it gives you like the idea of like, this is like in the world of writing, like if you're writing articles or books or whatever, the most scariest part of doing that is the empty page, right? And if you're into Blender, the scariest, worst part of that is the cube.
Yeah,
that's the first thing you get, and it's basically the same thing. So this is allowing you to kind of start with something, and rather than having to start from scratch. And even if it's not great, which the first versions that it shows is not great, and then even with the drawing, it's still not great. But you could kind of give it a guide and sort of get it to the point where you can start, even if you know these tools and you know how to use these tools, it gives you a way to, get started super fast and be able to get what you want pretty quickly. And I think this would be a very powerful tool for professionals too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool.
Do you know, right, Michael, Jill and Ryan? Well, just before we move on, I wanted to ask you guys, do you know what the very first object was that was created by computers, the first 3D model?
What was the
Rocktopus
3D model? Hold on, Jill. I'm just making sure I got your question right. By computers.
Yeah.
Jill, the answer is crap. It wants me to read. I don't know what, Jill.
A teapot.
Teapot. Wow.
Yeah, it was actually a teapot. In fact, the proprietary software, everything from Maya to 3D Studio, and other proprietary software, they start you off with a teapot because that was the first object that was created.
All right, to make me sound smart, Wendy, edit this in when Jill asks the question. All right, here we go. A teapot, Jill. All right, so if you could edit that into the beginning, Wendy, then it'll be genius.
Hey, Wendy, don't do that.
Hey, so we're about to send our very own Jill off. It's like her first day of school. It's like her 19th time at school. We're sending her off to the SCaLE 22X. And it's taking place right now, this week, 6th through the 9th. Well, by the time you're listening to this, it'll have already
it's been over. Yeah. You're watching this the day after it ended. You're welcome.
Go to booth number 218. Well, hopefully you went to booth 218 because there's where you'd have got all the swag and all that cool stuff there. So very cool, Jill. I know everybody's going to be super excited to see you, but remember, you're not allowed to sign any autographs unless Michael and I are there. So you got to tell people no.
But I'll take pictures with them.
Okay, we can do that because we can edit ourselves in the pictures.
Yeah, we'll just Photoshop us in.
You know what's cool is a lot of people messaged me in the community and are coming for the first time to SCaLE, and they said they're coming to meet me.
Well, they didn't.
Why would they come the first time when it's just Jill? Like me and you aren't there, Michael. It's ridiculous.
They didn't message us, Jill.
Yeah,
they didn't know.
Crazy.
When did this happen, Jill? Was it recent? Was it between this last week?
within this last week. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Technically,
one
we
of
did
them,
announce a couple weeks ago that we weren't going to be there. Okay.
yeah,
That's fine.
you did.
That's
You
fine.
did. Well, one of
This
them
time,
I'm
people.
very excited about is our young one, our youth. Well, our the person last year who Ryan gave the Raspberry Pi 5 to, Frederick. Frederick is coming back out again, and he's flying in from out of state.
Well, that's awesome.
And yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see a picture and see, maybe hear
Yeah.
about some stuff that they've been doing with that.
Nice.
And also, Michael and I are going to be at the Red Hat Summit. So if you want to get a picture with Jill, you have to go to SCaLE. And if you want a complete picture of the Destination Linux host, then you have to go to Red Hat Summit. And then you can stitch them together, and it'll be like we were all in one place at one time.
Or I guess you could just go get some AI stuff and just tell it to make a thing.
Yeah, the AIs will do it for you. Well,
it'll be creepy looking, but it'll work.
Thank you to each and every one of you for watching, supporting us, listening to us, all the awesome support that you give us, sending in your comments, your feedback, hanging out with us. We appreciate you. We love your faces. Come join us on our Discord at tuxdigital.com/Discord, where you can continue the conversations from this show and hang out with other people who also love Linux. You already got something in common with everybody there. You love Linux. Check it out.
Exactly. And this show. So go to the tuxdigital.com/disc. I mean, I assume not everybody who watches the show likes the show, but most do. Like 99%.
People hate watch us, you think? There are people out there just like, 100%. I hate them so much. Let me click what the stupids are going to say now.
I mean, the Cheeto fingers things is it happens.
They're sitting there in their tighty-whities with their Cheeto fingerprints rubbed across the sides of them. Like, I'm going to watch it, but I'm so angry.
We got a feedback recently. I think it was like yesterday or something.
I'll be reading it. It's an email. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, I already sent it to you? Okay.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's such a funny one. Well, next time.
Wendy just said she hate watches me. You know what, Wendy? That is not appropriate during the show. Number one, as our editor,
and also being a patron and an editor, and you hate watches.
Yeah. Number two.
There's so many problems with that.
I bet, Wendy, the truth is, while you're editing the show, we crack you up all the time, and you have to stop editing as you finish laughing and then get back to editing. So I don't believe you. Continue, Michael.
I believe that is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So if you love this show and you want to support it, you can go to tuxdigital.com/membership and become a patron. You get a ton of cool perks. You get access to watch the show live. You get access to the unedited episodes. If you can't watch it live, you also get a bunch of cool perks like being able to join the patron-only section of our Discord server and being able to join the patron-only post show. So if you can't watch it live, you can still join at the end and hang out with us at the end of the show. And also, you can go to tuxdigital.com/store and pick up some cool swag. We actually have some new stuff in there right now. And if you're a patron, you even get some merch discounts that you can apply to the store. So if you want to go check out the new items that we just released, there's a This Is Linux. It's a 300 Sparta reference. So check that out. And I'm kind of proud of the silly penguin.
He was very
Spartan.
Proud. He sent it to me separately and was like, look who I did.
I was like, look what I can do.
I can do. Like, it's good. It's a really cool shirt. It is really cool. Check it out.
Yay.
Thank you. tuxdigital.com/store.
And make sure to check out all the amazing shows here on Tux Digital. That's right. We have an entire network of shows to fill your whole week with geeky goodness. Head to tuxdigital.com to keep those Linux penguins marching.
All right. So Wendy just typed in the chat that she doesn't ever laugh. And she's not exactly wrong about that. The reason she doesn't laugh, she tries to keep it inside, is you ever see the witch in the Left 4 Dead that screeches? That's what her laugh sounds like. So she hides it because it's like that Left 4 Dead zombie game witch thing.
So instead of the constant crying, it's screaming, it's laughing. So she has to hide.
That's what
laughing.
Her laugh sounds like. It's horrendous.
I see.
So thank God she's not laughing when she's editing the thing. Oh boy. Everybody have a wonderful week. And remember,
you have no idea what you just did to yourself in the editing.
Yeah.
It's a journey itself. Don't mess with me, Wendy. That's what I'm telling you. Like, I'm going to bring the A game every time, I'm going to pull out the references that are going to end you. You don't want any of this. The journey itself is just as important as the destination. Thanks, everyone.
You basically just said, "Come at me, bro."
Yeah. Love you. And you too, Wendy. Get Ryan. Get him.
No, don't get Ryan.
Jill's encouraging Wendy to go after you. I like it, actually. See you next week, everybody.
See ya.